Welcome everyone to the Fourcast with myself, Wilks, Dawk, and HRap B. We are in the building with another episode. We'll be talking about part 3 of Exterminate All The Brutes on HBO Max. A great documentary, very, very in-depth. Before we get into kind of talking about ourselves, I want to give a couple shout-outs to some guys that commented after the show on YouTube. Augustus Brown, he's from South Carolina. He commented, and then not your typical Negro commented. He had a really long comment on YouTube, just talking about the documentary. So we'll be talking about part 3, which is entitled "Killing at a Distance" or "How I Thoroughly Enjoyed the Outing." These titles are even more and detailed as you read it, as detailed as a documentary. But Wilks, how you doing tonight? Pretty good. Got the mashed potatoes whipped up for later, so we'll talk about that. Chef Boyard Dave.
Late dinner tonight.
All right, Dawk, how you doing?
I'm fantastic, but I'm trying to figure out what time he gonna eat tonight. He said he got these mashed potatoes whipped up for later.
Yeah, man. I'll get to it, man. It's mashed potatoes and steak, man.
What you gonna dip in them though? That's what I need to know.
Oh no, nothing. It's just gonna be some cheese, some chives, and some bacon that I fried on the side. No.
Okay, I see you.
You're not playing. Playing. HRap, how you doing?
I'm doing. Wait this gym out. Get my stripper body back.
Go get it.
Wow.
All right. So Black Swan, thank you for coming through. She came in early. Normally she comments after the show, so she got her comment in early. We appreciate that. DJ Knox, he said, "What's up, crew?" Teresa Rucker, she got a nickname, right? That's Nikki.
That's Rucker Park.
Rucker Park right there.
Hey, shout out Rucker Park. Hey, Rucker Park been so consistent in supporting all BS3 radio podcasts. Trust me, we appreciate you, Rucker Park.
Oh yeah, definitely. What's the nickname here?
Now that's just Irene.
Okay. All right. So let's let's get right into it.
Her to your friend, like a sister.
Okay. My mom's name is Irene. That's her middle name. So I can relate to that. All right, let's get into this episode where it started to talk about guns, gunpowder, military, economy, how a lot of those things were built. And the opening part of it talks about how the Chinese discovered gunpowder, but they didn't necessarily want to use it, or from what I was understanding, sell it or use it for like mass production to go into war. So I thought that was very interesting that how they opened that one up. Wilks, I kind of go to you first. The opening of the episode, part 3.
Yeah, what I got from the opening and where this was going, it was almost like they were trying to establish a foothold by weaponizing themselves and making, I guess it was really, that part of India that reached out to Britain because they didn't have ships, and Britain had the fleet, and in a sense they had already had cannons and things like that, as you mentioned, killing from a distance. But I just felt like with this rise of the arms deal that was going on, I just felt like that was a new way into trying to put a foothold or hold their dominance on certain cultures and kind of solidifying, we've got the upper hand and this is what we're going to, push on you, make a deal with us. And then once we go, I guess, seek out another land and take their goods and, it almost became a trade bargain kind of a thing. But that's what I kind of felt from the opening.
Yeah. Dawk?
And ain't nothing changed.
Right.
Ain't nothing changed. They say you don't bring a knife to a gunfight. Some folks ain't figured that out yet.
Right.
HRap.
Of course, this is something I knew. I learned this in 6th grade. And it like the guy said, it wasn't shocking. But what is, I took it from a different perspective, though. I took it because I'm just looking at Raoul Peck and looking at the way he's designing this story. Mm-hmm. And it was like, look at this. These people invented something for celebratory purposes, and they weaponized it and been destroying people ever since.
Yeah, that's true.
That's real.
That's true. And they not only they used it, and then they multiplied it, and then they found different ways of how to use it. And like you said, Doc, you don't come to a gunfight with a knife, and that completely changed war.
It changed the game.
Because these guys are coming in with swords.
Yeah, it's almost like they betted on that.
Right. Yeah, and they don't have enough time to get to the enemy. Like you running up with a sword, all they got to do is shoot you, and it's over.
Right.
You don't have any leverage or anything. Talked about how Europe mastered killing at a distance, and it went through the different types of wars, and it all like this documentary doesn't only touch on genocide, which it does. It doesn't only touch on racism, but it touched on how the U.S. basically became what it is, and that's the part that I think people need to watch this for that reason, because it gives you background and backstory. Stuff that I didn't realize. Me and Wilks were talking about this today. That dumb bullet that they talked about was they showed people's legs basically destroyed. Like, I mean, I don't even know how you were living at that point, how you were functioning at that point. And that kind of brought me to Dawk, with you being one of the four of us that were in the military. And so how did you kind of, you were viewing this, what was your thoughts and what were you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, immediately from the beginning, they talked about how they went from the muzzle to they called it something else, but in all actuality, it's just a bolt action rifle, where instead of you having to stop, stand up, because you had to stand your rifle up long ways, load it with powder, pack it down, then sit back down and shoot. Then I got to go do that again, right? You went from that to being able to pow, pow, and then you advance from that to being able to fire a weapon 9 rounds per second, which nowadays is nothing, but back then, oh man, and you don't have to get up. You stay in a prone position the entire time, and folks don't understand how significant that is. They just became more efficient fighters, right? And it's the same way you try to become more efficient at whatever weapon you're using, be it a fighter jet, be it a tank, be it it doesn't matter what it is, right? You're trying to make it more efficient, and so that's how it hit me. And somebody mentioned dum-dum, and I know what dum-dums were, right? These rounds that we use. So that, they went from, now it's firing fast enough, but these savages, these brutes are still coming. We hitting them 4 and 5 times, and they still coming. So these jokers said, okay, we got to make a more powerful bullet. So now they start doing things with the bullet. So this factory in Dum Dum, just outside of Calcutta, which is what the bullet was named after, I had no idea why they called them Dum Dums, So that was fascinating for me, And now we got the hollow points and all this other kind of stuff, and it's for the same purposes, I needed to do more damage whenever it's penetrating, Right. So it's amazing, and of course in the military we go through weapons training and whatnot, to be able to know, the difference between rounds, the sizes of rounds, what they designed to do, how far they'll travel, et cetera, et cetera. The first bullet, it only traveled 100 yards, so you stand at 101 and
It just comes all the way to your feet.
That's where they don't drive right in front of it. You know? But you come inside this 100 yards.
Right. It's over.
Yeah. So it's that initial part was fascinating to me. I was glued to the screen on that part.
Yeah. That part really broke it down. And then it went into the portion. Before I do that, let me say, Michael Neal, thank you for tuning in. Also, go ahead. What is that? Ray. Lamar Williams.
Wait a minute. Which brother don't know how to say Ray, man? Come on, man. And you got a Cali. What you talking about, Trey?
Ray is R-A-Y, not R-A-E. That's Ray.
Okay.
Anyway. D. Great.
I mean, what other
he had a great show last night. He does a slow jams battle. And so that was last night on XWAD Radio with a guy named That Ninja. Obviously, that's his nickname.
I love it.
And that was versus Big Mo. Big Mo is a supporter of BS3 Radio and of HRap B's show. So he had a great show last night. So thank you for coming through. All of you that have not watched this, that is your homework assignment by next week. Because next week we're going to be talking about part 4. And then we'll kind of talk a little bit about all of them. So that's it's on HBO Max. That's your homework assignment. No problem.
We're gonna have to get out of this. It's too heavy, man. We gotta go heavy light. This is making, I'm
we gotta do Barney
like a month. Too angry.
We gotta do Barney. We gotta go light for like a month. I know.
we gotta do Jingle Jangle or something.
We gotta do a couple cartoons.
Something. Right. We got to flip it. Yeah. Now, so that brings to the point where it talks about George Washington jump-started the U.S. arms industry, and because he didn't want to pay, foreign countries to build this up. So with a hefty donation, I don't think they said where the donation came from. Yeah. I don't know if anybody got any knowledge on that, but that's kind of where it jump-started, and I think that goes back to the U.S. always thinking, we don't want to be the lesser country. We see all these other countries doing this, so let's make our stuff, bigger and better, and let's try to compete. That's it. It's competition. That's all it is.
Yeah, I understand. Go ahead, HRap.
I was gonna say, go ahead.
Go Wilks.
Oh no, I was gonna say it's funny Ben had mentioned that because it's always like the U.S. From what I've always noticed, it's like we paint ourselves as I've got to make this. Well, let me back up. I want to promise you something, but you got to do this for me. But then when it doesn't go right, just know I'm coming to retaliate. It's almost like I'm coming back for it because, well, it didn't go the way we really thought it was. So let me get my hands out of this because they're dirty now. I just feel like that's kind of like where it was going with that. But that's just me.
Yeah.
Well, the people who granted them the permission to start their war are black people. They are the Moors. George Washington contacted the Moors, and the Moors, because you didn't make a move back in the day without the Moors approving, or they would come down and handle you.
Right.
So he contacted the Moors. The Moors allowed them to start the Revolutionary War, and which it adds 100% credence to what Wilk just said. If it don't come our way, then we're going to capture y'all ancestors down the road.
Right.
Y'all don't really affiliate with them, but we're going to go to Western Africa and capture your ancestors, Central Western Africa, and capture your ancestors and bring them on over here and make them our slaves.
Right.
So it was just ironic that Wilks bought that up. That's why I started smiling. I was like, yeah, Wilks, that's exactly right. Because, the Moors taught the Europeans everything they know. Nobody wants to talk about that. Yeah. And this is why, I love documentaries, but this is why I always watch a documentary with a grain of salt, because you walk right up to the line and then you go, oh, we can't give black people too much credit.
Yeah.
Back up. Mm-hmm. But it's just the Moors did it. The Moors taught them how to watch their backsides. The Moors taught them how to read. The Moors taught them philosophies and so forth. And the Moors and they call them Egyptians now, but they wouldn't call Egyptians then. But this is another situation to where, as awesome as this is, we never get the true and unadulterated answers. We are always right across the street from the answers. Yeah, guys like us, we continue to look like you guys every week. You guys, which you've enlightened me a bunch of times. You say, hey, I looked into this and then I learned this. But most people in our community go, oh wow, this is a documentary, and they're telling us the truth. And I'm glad they're telling us the truth. And there's really an underlying lie, and it really annoys me because the whole dumb thing was, I'm totally ignorant. I mean, only guns I knew about is Canyon. No comment.
What's fascinating to me is that when Ben brought that point up, all of us were chomping at the bit. You know, Brian, HRap like, no, you go. You know what? You go. I'm gonna go. You know, because it was like that struck a chord with us, right? You know, and so one of the notes that I made is I said, weapons and ammo are still king makers today. Yes. You know, simple as that. How many times have you seen the U.S. supply weapons to a country or to a faction of a country who is going to advance our agenda, right? You know, that's who we backing, right? And you talk about, Ben mentioned that, you know, George Washington and, you know, and the interest he took, right? Well, think about how many high-ranking political figures associated with major companies who profited by war. The stories are endless, you know, right? You know, you got Halliburton they mentioned, Lockheed Martin they mentioned, you know, and the people associated with those high-ranking generals and politicians that's getting paid. So, you know, so they, you know, but at the same time, they got this position of influence to be able to determine whether or not we go to war or not. You know, and they're not looking at it on what's best for the country. They're looking at it on what's best for their pocketbook. You know, and I got no qualms with us advancing the country and us being competitive as a nation. Right. I have a problem with the method with which we go about that competitiveness. Right. That's my problem.
Yeah.
And just like Dawk was saying, I mean, even in and I might be jumping a little ahead of us in the series, but I mean, look at the deals with Reagan. Sitting down making Iran deals. I mean, we constantly go back and forth with them, but there was a big deal made in the 80s with that arms deal.
Yeah, Iran Contra.
Yeah, we got the Desert Storm. You know, it's like, okay, you don't want to give us your oil. It's okay, so they gonna set the oil fields on fire, but yeah, we still gonna come in and take what we want.
No, there was weapons of mass destruction, man. We had to go get.
Okay.
That goes back to the natives. We're gonna agree to all these treaties, but we just gotta rip them up when y'all walk away.
That's right, man.
Really, Trump just tore one last year.
Yeah, we really don't want an agreement. Right. We really don't want an agreement. We just want a smile on your face, and then when you walk away,
and I hate that
we get a foot
Caucasian give.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of like, you know,
I caught it.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's just like, like with those
it's like doing business with the mob is what it is. We're doing business with this country.
Thank you.
Is akin to doing business with the mob, man. If it don't go right, if your end of the bargain don't get held up, you're gonna pay with your life.
There you go.
Yeah.
You're not just gonna renegotiate.
Right.
Ask Gaddafi. Right. Shout out to Obama. Oops.
Ask Kennedy, ask Sinatra, whatever. I mean,
but taking back off what Dawk and Wilks just said, Ben, it's not even just the generals and the vice president. Every time you start up a Ford, realize that this dude was over there making tanks for the Nazis in the midst of a war.
Right.
Every time you crack open a Coke or a Fanta, they were selling that to that was the biggest drink of the Nazis.
God, dog, and I had a strawberry one day with my chicken.
Not the pineapple one.
The strawberry, baby.
It's all about capitalism at the end of the day.
They didn't have strawberry back then, so that one don't count. I can drink that one.
They had orange and grape, though. Orange and grape, you eat. But
you gotta have
Audi. Every time, all y'all want these Audis and these
Mercedes.
Volvo, all those names are tied to that regime. It just it comes at a cost.
Let me give a shout out. Let me give a quick shout out to the artist known as Benita A. Whitfield. When the album dropping?
That's right.
We need that album.
At least a finger.
Shout out to Raider Kev. with that Super Bowl champs. How old is that?
Hey. My team has gone to the Super Bowl in this century.
Oh, well, that's true. I mean, the Tampa Bay and the Raiders.
That's true.
Went to 3 championship games this century.
Hey, don't worry. We coming. Don't worry.
Yeah, you've been saying that since '95.
We coming. It's a long way. It's a long train from somewhere. But anyway, what I wrote down is war after war after war for what? And I think we talked about it. Capitalism. We talked about it's money. It is money. Now I watched. We may talk about this one in the future, but Without Remorse. It's on Amazon Prime. It's with Michael B. Jordan. And part of that movie, they set up Michael B. Jordan and basically murdered his family just to produce a war. And he was like, "So you mean to tell me you wanted to destroy my life just so you can get a war?" And that's only a small percentage of what we're talking about. All these wars and everything that's it's just because we got greedy. Because we didn't feel comfortable with just having what we had. So we wanted to be the bully on the block and go, we wanted to be Debo and go take other people's stuff.
I just want to add one thing, man. Stop saying we. We didn't do that.
When Ben's describing that movie, and it definitely reminds me of like a Black Punisher. That's pretty much how the Punisher was. It's like, you set my family up, you're gonna kill my family to pretty much get your motive across, which was you didn't want me to find out what happened, but I uncovered the dirty dealings. So it's kind of like that's what it reminds me of when Ben was saying that.
And it goes back to me. I'm gonna bring it to you again, Dawk. Knowing what you know now and how these wars of what they're all about, would you go back into the military? Would you do it all over again?
Yeah, I would, because you see, and that's from somewhat of a selfish perspective, right? But because the military grew me up, man, it really did, and it set me off the track. In fact, I was one of those individuals who said that every kid, male coming out of high school should go do just basic training in AIT, 8 weeks and 8 weeks. We're talking about 16 weeks. And some of them, they could even get to college right after that, right? But because of what it did for me, I have to separate the good from the bad, right? Because guess what? Whether I went in or not, they were going to do what they was going to do. That wasn't going to stop it, right? Right. And in fact, if enough of, let's just pretend that we took that stance, right? And we said, we're not going in. Well, all they're going to do is they're going to start a draft. They're going to come up with a reason to start a draft unless we do something about it, right? So, yeah, I would do it again just simply because of what it did for me as an individual and developing me and pushing me toward manhood, So, yeah, I would do it again.
Okay.
Yeah. I think because I think with anything, like I said last week, everything has been tainted, and there's two sides to both things. But just like Doc was saying, I mean, with that experience of not even just traveling, but discipline and just growing itself, and even maybe some of that is weaved into his own company. I mean, it gives you that backdrop to establish those things. So it gives you the principle. It gives you that step. It's like, hey, this is what I'm going to incorporate. This is what I'm going to lean to. Maybe he starts a security business. I mean, this is one of those things where I think there's always some positive there. Yes, it's been tainted in the past. Yes, it's been, dirty dealings or whatever. But I think there's always some positive there too, as well.
Yeah, if nothing else, it also showed me. So one of the things that took place during Desert Storm, I was hearing the numbers that were published back home in terms of how many deaths we were sustaining and how many injuries we were sustaining. Well, guess what? I was in a medical unit, so I was counting the body bags.
Right.
And 4 and 4 and making 8. So if anything, it also enlightened me as to the information we're fed versus reality. Right. And I've never been a fool since, even though I go about my business and I make some decisions, I make those decisions enlightened, even so when I become aware of something, right? Let's just pretend that I owned an Audi right now. based on the new information I got, I wouldn't go right out and sell it tomorrow, because that may not be best for me from a business standpoint. But I know going forward, but I'm not sleep anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And going forward, I'm going to make some adjustments.
Right.
And remember, right before the show came on, I was talking about how I've been changed, and I'm going to talk about that more in depthly. And I definitely think, I totally agree. Well, I didn't even think about what Dawk said, the 16 weeks. But hell yeah, because guess what, man? Mobb Deep, almost 30 years ago made a song. It's a war going on outside. Nobody's safe. And we need people like Brother Dawk and my pops and Brother Mike Neal, who in the chat room. They went to the military, and good, bad, or indifferent, they came out with information. Otherwise, people that walk the street will not know. Right. We love repping and saluting the Black Panther Party self-defense, but a lot of those brothers were ex-military.
Right.
So just imagine, man, you get a lot of young brothers coming out of the military who have been trained in organization. They've been trained in weaponry. They've been trained in electronics. And that is the foundation of building the infrastructure that helps elevate our community.
Right.
Hell yeah.
Unfortunately, I have to chuckle at that, because as HRap is talking, I'm just thinking about how J. Edgar Hoover was so against the Black Panther Party, but yet using the same tactics that was used, what the U.S. trained you to use to mobilize a community, to mobilize a people.
Yes.
You upset at that.
That's what I said, man. I had a conversation.
It's crazy.
And I was like, I've been wrong. I mean, because I was drawing my opinion from being beat up, being hit in the private parts by cops, getting put in police cars to drop in rifle gang territory. And I'm angry. I remember once my cousin Vince, they made him walk home in his underwear. So I'm looking at this from that perspective, but then I removed the anger, and I was like, wait a minute. So that's why, before the show started, I said, hey, man, I've been changed, and I have, and I'm gonna go in depth tomorrow. But hell yeah, I won't Dawk to go in the military, because it's a bunch of people. Like, personally, going to college may not have been the best thing for me, because when I was 18, I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yeah, I
didn't know anything, and that's when you should go there and pick up abilities and trades. And I just go in more depth, because I don't want to turn this into the HRap show. But yeah, hell yeah, dog, hell yeah. Because hey, dog, what would you say the percentage of your success connected to the military is? And then I'm done with that whole thing.
I mean, without even thinking in great detail, 50% right off the bat. Right off the bat. And like I said, I had a strong mom. So she, basically I've described this way, over the years, is that the military basically just reinforced what my mama was putting down already. So she actually set me up by being as strong and as strict as she was. She actually set me up for success in the military, and got some leadership roles there and things of that nature at a very young age, because she had equipped me for that. So without even thinking about it, man, at least half of it. And as I get older, I'm starting to gain even more benefit from my time in the military, and it had to hit me to say, I'm a veteran of foreign war. Been a veteran of foreign war since age 19. And that change in mentality. All day.
Yeah.
And
that's the greatness of this show. We're talking about Exterminate All the Brutes, but I had that. I've been thinking about Dawk watching this episode, just because it really delved into how the military and how the U.S. got into arms, and how they built them. So that's a great comment and answer. The atomic bombs of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Now, this is something I didn't really understand. I heard about it, but you learn about it in school, but I didn't really understand it. So from what I'm understanding is that this was, say it was August 6th through the 9th, but this was
August 6th. My birthday.
This was unannounced. This was on just civilians, if I'm correct. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty much vengeance, is what it was.
This was a war crime.
Right.
Period.
A vengeful.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
They called it, matter of fact, they called it the symbol of all evil in the documentary.
Right.
And that's wrong.
No warning on a Sunday.
Yeah.
I mean, really? Wow. Just to get your message across, and that's why it's so funny when I see these places and now all of a sudden you want to erect military bases with these people. It's like you want to shake hands and wash hands. It's like, we let by.
That ain't. Hey, trust me, getting bases in other countries, that is not about friendliness.
Right.
That is about control, homeboy.
Oh, that's what it all is. That's what it is.
Long. Yeah. I don't know that there's a place that we done had conflict that we didn't come out on top, that we don't have a base in.
Right.
I was in Germany at the base. We got several there.
Yeah. It's just like playing showing chess. This is what it is.
Even in places like Vietnam and Korea. Still there.
Still got an air base there.
Got
an air base there right now.
Yeah. I didn't realize that. Win, lose, or draw, there's going to be a base. Right. There's going to be somewhere where we can say we were here.
Hey, let me help you. Let me help you rebuild. But yet, once we help you rebuild and we give you this to get you back on your feet, let's talk capitalism again.
Yeah. But what do you think? What do you think we would do if it was some German bases all across the United States?
Yeah, please.
Technically, that does happen here because Fort Dix is named after a Confederate general.
They be losing their mind.
And speaking of Big Mo, we talked about him earlier. He jumping into the chat room. Thank you for coming through. Co-host of Tiger Park Radio. They do a great job. What they do. All right, so there was a quote. There's always great quotables in this documentary. We talked about a bunch of them, but those who dropped the bomb got to name the deed. Mm-hmm. That one I thought was powerful because if you drop it and it's not anybody to correct it, kind of like with the Alamo, then it's going to be this victorious thing that you just rolled out on top and nothing bad happened.
Once again, it's just shaping history.
Yeah. Right. Yes. Yeah. Big shout out to Justin Carraway. We always stay in the know, and his podcast Elevate will be coming very soon to BS3 Radio. So looking forward to that. Raider Kev says, in school, I remember they sold dropping the atomic bomb as saving lives, ending the war quickly, saving lives, millions dead and was injured. Exactly. But you saved lives. GTFO. Yeah,
they say the right lives.
Right. And
according to them.
Yeah, in that quote, in that statement that he just said there, that was actually I'm thinking, as I'm reading this stuff and you're reading history and you're in school, they paraded it around as a prideful thing. As if, I'm beating my chest the loudest. It's like, oh, well, the Enola Gay had these many missions and the bomb was this many cubic, it's almost like they were just being proudful about it. Like, you thought Pearl Harbor was big, but, we're going to outdo that and get our, and get the revenge. But yeah, it's just one of those things where they were making it seem as if it was needed, like this extermination was needed pretty much.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
It was like, hooray, we did something great for the United States. That's a sense that I always had. It was a victory, and we rode off into the sunset type of thing.
Yeah, those disfigured faces and stuff like that, man. After that part of the documentary, that was hard to watch, man. Oh, yeah. Really hard to watch, But Raoul Peck, he's got a repeated theme in this documentary, and that is to the victor goes the spoils. And part of those spoils is how you write the history, how you tell the story, how you shape it. If they did. Right. Exactly. The way ain't in the movie Dead Men Don't Speak. Right. They can't say that.
Right, exactly. It's over. Go ahead.
I said, then lions, gazelles don't tell the story of the lion.
Right.
Yeah, he was real strong.
Right.
That's a great point. Yeah, he was fast, man.
He was big. I didn't think you could move like that.
His teeth was sharp, dog. I couldn't even tell. That's the person watching from in the bushes, the one that's seen it. He the one that told me.
Right.
So these two bombs killed between 129,000 to 226,000 people, most of whom were civilians, and remained the only use of nuclear weapons in armed conflict. That right there pretty much sums it up. It was on people that could not fight or weren't even planning on fighting. They were just there. So that goes to that.
It's like they didn't even find a shipyard to hit. They just go hit people, like just going about their business, minding their business. Let me just hit these random, let us flex a little bit and show you what we got going on.
But you know what? At the end of the day, that is how to win. I mean, I hate to even say this, man. That is how you win a war. You punch somebody's mom in the face.
Oh yeah. They're like, okay, man, all right, you chill out,
Right.
Yeah.
You beat up somebody's mom and their kids. Did y'all watch Godfather Harlem?
Oh, I had to watch it.
Well, it was gonna be a little spoiler alert. You should watch it.
Okay.
So what?
Not the recent episodes, but go ahead. I ain't tripping.
It was this one instance where they did the whole thing. They showed you the backstory. Remember the movie Malcolm X? When Malcolm got the dude sent to the hospital.
Yeah.
It kind of shows you the backstory, what got him beat up. And the whole episode, police captain jump out the car. Bumpy Johnson, you owe me the N-word tax. And then later on, Bumpy Johnson, he got in his face. He told him you had to give me money. Bacante, but you the N-word, I gotta pay you this. And he kept leaning on him. And then the shoe shine man who they beat up, it was a Bumpy Johnson associate. And he went to see him in the jail. He said, I'm gonna get you out of here. So they kept going back and forth. And at the end of the episode, he had a mobster dude going there, the dude he been fighting Wilks all since last season. And he been fighting him. He said, hey man, go in there, we got a deal, And then he tried to, the police chief was like, get out of here, call him an N-word lover. But at the end of the day, he walked into the jail, or he walked into the precinct with Brother Malcolm. And now all of a sudden, dude wasn't as bad as he thought he was. And he's like, oh, wait a minute. This dude got a gang. Right. We don't know what they're capable of. At the end, what did he do? He told him to call his house. And Bumpy had a dude at the police captain's house with his gun on his wife and his kid. And that's how you win a war. I'm going to take away the weakest thing about you. Your
most vulnerable, the most vulnerable
thing that's going to cut you to death. So if I kill your people with this bomb, just imagine if I drop it on the mainland and destroy your whole existence.
Right.
You got to go. And then that's what gave Richard Nixon. That's why was taking off the gold standard. Richard Nixon said, okay, we don't have as much gold as Africa. We might not even have as much gold as Puerto Rico. But we got bigger guns.
Right.
And if we protect your oil, our money gonna be worth more than the gold.
Yeah. And I'll say this: they put their noses in everybody else's business, and then when we get attacked, it's like, oh no, what did we do to deserve this?
Right.
We get all these years.
Right.
Let's go back 400 years. Come on, what did we do to deserve it? We've done a lot to deserve it.
Like,
we should be thankful that this is the only time that we've seen something.
Yeah, we considering our history, man.
Right.
We are extremely fortunate to have only experienced what we've experienced on our shores.
And that's why, and just like Dawk, and especially with Dawk, having a first hand and being in the military, I mean, keeping China and Russia in check as much as possible, and North Korea, you'd be surprised. They're like, oh, I don't give a crap. It's like, shit, we just nuked the hell out of them. Oh, sorry about that. It's like we're very fortunate.
Yeah, we are. So I wanted, this is kind of a side note, but me and Wilks, we listened to this guy, Michael Kiwanuka.
Yeah.
He's a British singer, songwriter. A lot of his songs were featured in this documentary. He's got a real like soulful feel. So that's a little side note. Shout out to him. I don't know if you guys listen to him, but
yeah, I had to listen to the brother, but I noted a couple of times in the earlier parts and a couple of times in this part that the soundtrack is banging, and it is helping tell the story.
Yeah,
I guarantee you.
Yeah,
it is banging.
Now, kind of a reference to the previous episode, which I don't know what he was talking about or how this tied in, but there was a picture of two, I believe this was in Ghana, where it was, I believe, two guys standing, holding hands. Not the two of them holding hands, but holding an actual hand that was cut off.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And that they talked about that in the previous episode, and there was basically a guy standing next to him. And this was kind of to the point where he was referencing to owning black people and then taking pictures and making it like it's a theatrical thing and something that they wanted to be involved in. But that part kind of tore me up right there, because it's like what do you do?
Right.
Yeah, that was part of that was when that from a previous episode, that was when they weren't giving up the rubber like they were supposed to. That was basically one of the punishments. Yeah, and they made like we saw, and a part of that is that they actually made other black folks do it. Okay, which was even worse, right? I ain't got the guts to do it myself. I'm gonna make you do it. Right. So yeah, that you're right, being that definitely was a difficult watch, man. And some of their faces, man. You they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, man. Look at some of their faces, man. Gut wrenching, to say the least, man.
Yeah.
Gut wrenching. Gut wrenching.
Shout out to Just Joe. Thank you for coming through. And then it talked about the embarrassment of the king of Ashanti by the British, which they made him. They showed a picture of basically him crawling up to the British and bowing down to them, like embarrassing them to the nth degree to make a point. Now, HRap, I want to go to you on this. I know you probably got a backstory or something that you can.
No, actually, I don't have one on this one, but it is something. Well, the reason it kind of struck a chord with me is because the Ashanti were the Ashanti and the Zulu are the two strongest warrior classes on the continent. So to break them down like that is psychological warfare, because you think if y'all kicked all our behinds, and we got y'all king crawling to us.
That's right.
And again, it goes back to what we were just saying. They probably threatened the entire tribe. And then they said, you crawled us, and then we'll spare them. And because he's a leader, because there's no such thing as aunt, uncle, brother, it's all brothers, sisters, mothers, and fathers over there, he had to sacrifice. And it won't be shown as a moment of strength. It'll be shown as a moment of weakness. Yeah. And we've conquered the best. Therefore, we conquered the best. The rest of y'all better lay down. And that's what happened. That's why when you always hear, man, they had the whole continent, man. How they let the white people come over there? Yeah, what I need you to do is go to your local street gang and start a fight with the chief, unarmed. Right. See how long you last.
Yeah.
And this again. Y'all know I'm a big believer in epigenetics, and this is how this trauma is passed down for a century. Yep. Each traumatic event in your life takes 10 years to filter out of your DNA. And if that's the case, we still, when without therapy for a whole 55 million people, how are we going to get past this?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's real.
And that's why salute to the people in Ghana to this very day. 2019 was the year of opening. And what that means is they opened the doors in January 2019. First, hold on, let me go back to 1992. I guess I did have a backstory, man.
I knew you did.
1992, they rewrote their constitution and apologized to us, black folks in the Western Hemisphere, whether you're from North America, Central America, or South America. And they also said, hey, y'all can come on back.
Right.
And then 2019, they said it started an easy visa program. Not to mention, Ghana is the third most, had the third, no, 3 years ago, had the most technology advances in the world. They finished number one. And the year before that, it was Nigeria. So while they keep putting up, we've been brainwashed to believe Africa, flies, poked out stomach, decimated. Man, I could send you some pictures of Ghana, and you packed a night. They got easy visa program. Another thing, you know how China and India, they are buying up a lot of land in Africa. Well, guess what Ghana did? Wrote in their constitution, if you're not from Ghana, or, you ready for this? If you're not from the Western Hemisphere, a former enslaved ancestor, you can't buy land there.
Wow.
These people are opening the doors to us. So I'm glad he showed that, because now, hey man, Dave Chappelle said this the other day, and this ain't got nothing to do with what we're talking about, but it shows how we need to reestablish some type of connection with our ancestors and our kinfolk over there. He said this: Stevie Wonder is the soul of America. He was like, no matter where you go, people love Stevie Wonder. And if the soul of America is ready to leave, if the soul leave, you die.
Yeah.
And where's the soul gonna go? What he said? Stevie Wonder been saying he's going to Ghana since 7. And now he's look. Listen to how ironic this is, and then I'll be quiet. Stevie Wonder, y'all ready for this? Listen, Stevie Wonder can see all the bullshit that's going on. Excuse my language, man.
You good? No, you good.
Think about the irony in that statement. Stevie Wonder can see the BS that's going on.
Yeah, that's true. That's
So
true.
I'm telling you, man. Hey, I was talking to somebody earlier today, man, and I was like, we need to start looking at America like a pie, or the crust is starting to burn. It's only a matter of time before the meat and the stuffing burn.
Right.
We are the meat and the stuffing.
Yeah.
You understand? It's time for us to start. That's why I do so much, man. Dude, that's why I spend so much time on Twitter. Man, I got friends that are Twitter friends, but I usually wear this at the show. Dude from Guyana sent me this. Guyana, South America, man.
Wow.
Didn't charge me a dime. He's like, man, Rap, I listen to your show. I love it. I said, hey, man, can you send me a trinket or something? I'll pay you. He said, you ain't got to pay me nothing. Sent me this, man. So, and that's not Ghana. That's Guyana. That's South America.
Yeah.
Guyana,
Same difference, man. He's a brother.
Maybe we need to, we have been talking about, making a trip to Chicago, and you coming here. Maybe that need to be a forecast trip. Get to Ghana, and when I make trips like that, I'm interested in learning about real estate and the cost thereof and the possibilities. So, and we all know, based on Mr. Raoul Peck here, the impact mentally and emotionally of travel. So that may be one we need to give some serious considerations to.
Yeah. Hey, Dawk. One more thing, man. Dawk, what you just said, I know a brother, he's an elder. His name is Manu. We call him Mr. Manu. He from Ghana. Over here, he lives a regular life. He told me he got like 60 acres, a goat farm. He the man over there. He's like, yo, Brian, they would love you in Ghana. He's like, look, and if you take $500 over there, it's so much money when you leave it. You can just throw it in the air and people would think you're doing something, but you'll be doing nothing. He said $500 could last you 6 months in Ghana. 500 American dollars.
Wow. It's so funny. We were talking about this every now and then. There's a show, which is I guess is a series really, and it's on CNN, and it's called Inside Africa. There was a guy that they were talking about on there. He has designed how to provide electricity for that countryside of I can't remember the part of Africa he's in, but the fact that he has engineered how to provide electricity for a village of people, like, that is crazy. Like that's it's steady evolving, it's steady growing, it's steady being molded into something that is just something of significance and a big thing, and it kind of caught my attention. I was like, man, this guy's up here inventing turbines and creating electricity. Like he's bringing electricity to these people in this village. And so just listening to HRap talking about Ghana, like I can only imagine, the advancements there and just the establishment.
Look it up, please, bro.
Isn't
what?
Yeah, isn't Akon doing the same thing?
But he's getting funded by China, which is not a good thing, because this is what they're doing. They're doing what they did over here. These gigantic loans, and this is what they over there doing. They're doing the same thing they did over here with the mortgage crisis. Yeah, we got you. We help y'all. And then they miss a payment,
right?
Take the land. Oh well, we just gonna take it.
Yeah.
But it's the most rich soil. And then one more thing. It's this lady. I was just reading this maybe about 4 months ago. Lady went over there. Well, first of all, I know a lady and her mother bought houses over there. Houses and acres of land, $27,000.
Wow.
And when she sent me the pictures, this ain't no like, y'all remember that house that Dez Bryant got drafted in, that big pretty house like that?
Yeah.
Like that. A house like that, $27,000. Then I read 4 months ago, there was this sister. She was obese, diabetes is killing her and everything, And she's like, hey, she was like, forget, I'm going to hit this go over here and die now. She was going blind when she was on her way over there. Guess who over there damn near doing backflips and can see again? That lady.
Wow, man.
You think that goes to I'm sure the freshness of the food is not tainted. It don't have all these chemicals in it, and that there's healing agents in the food. I know for sure. And that goes to a comment that was another quote, that all species adapt to their environment.
That's right.
That was another one of those quotes where it really kind of broke it down that we
natural
all
selection, right?
Yeah, right, exactly.
So, Ben, check the forecast budget, and what do we have in the coffers to be able to, just let the show pay for this trip, man.
We're not there quite yet.
These ain't jokes. And you need to start speaking things that are not as though they were. Don't say we ain't there. Say, we'll probably, we'll be able to pay for that soon. And just leave it like that.
If when BS3 pays for the Ghana trip, I'm gonna put up the bill for this network money for Botswana.
Okay.
All right. There it is.
I'm in.
Wilks, what you gonna do, man? You ain't saying nothing.
I'm gonna put the money away. I'm gonna put the money away and get ready for the trip.
You ain't saying nothing back there. Ain't offered no mashed potatoes for the trip or nothing.
No fried chicken.
At least I'll provide brunch.
Yeah, the fried chicken in the bag.
Yeah.
Every trip as a kid, we had fried chicken.
That's right.
And some grapes. That was it. He was good.
Wow. He
said, the funny thing about that? I was watching something on, I think it was like A&E or something, but they said the reason why fried chicken was used because it was the easiest thing to eat on the road because you didn't want to stop in those towns that did not want you stopping there. So that's why they packed fried chicken or they had sandwiches. And that's why they I think they said they drove during the day and then at night they would pull off somewhere, or no, they would drive at night because they didn't want to pull off anywhere. But during the day, they would probably pull off to a motel or something like that. But they said at nighttime they ride right through and have some fried chicken in the bag.
Well, hopefully they had a gang of napkins. Your hand could be greasy touching that steering wheel.
No, you got the handkerchief, man.
So one part in this part 3, the African gentleman in the morgue. Y'all remember that? I was trying to grasp and understand that. I know before they were basically in a meeting or in a lecture type setting, giving a lecture saying, this is explaining why blacks were brutes, basically. And people were walking out and leaving. And then one of the gentlemen basically goes to the back.
Him out.
Yeah,
2 times.
He goes to the back, and I'm assuming he shot him, and then he put him on a gurney. So I don't know. Did you guys understand the symbolism behind that?
It felt like an experimental thing, but they didn't really get on with the experiment. I mean, before that, he was trying to plead his case that, the Asians were half intelligent. The black and brown people were just savages.
Right.
And then, the Anglo-Saxon, the Caucasians, the white people, the pale skins, they were the more advanced and civilized. Yeah. But really, it felt like it was just kind of like a clinical trial of.
Yeah. Well, that was the real, but that's how they came with them, man. Right. What the key was for me, the key takeaway for me is that he's like, man, you've done one autopsy. Right. And yet you took that information based on what you saw, and now you're making a determination about an entire race of people, and things like that took place. That was commonplace back then,
right?
To have a small sample size, right, and come up and declare it for the entire situation, right? Do you remember what the food pyramid looked like when we was in elementary school? Right. It looked a hell of a lot different than it look now.
Yeah.
But you think to yourself, okay, who allowed this to move forward? It wasn't enough people. See, let me just go into this, right? HRap, from the moment I've been watching him on anything, he has always talked about fostering an environment of disagreement, right? It is, in fact, what should make a country great, what should make a show great, what should make a relationship great. You foster an environment of comfortable disagreement, right? So you can challenge the status quo, right? So back then, who did not challenge the status quo? When this food pyramid come out and you got bread at the top of it. And now all of a sudden bread got that little bitty piece now, whatever, right? So again, it's about challenging status quo. And these jokers are making declarations based on one autopsy, 2 autopsy. Right. Come on, man.
And like that guy said, and like the reenactment, the guy stands up and he's like, "Oh, it's science." Like this.
Right.
No, it ain't science, man. It's your minimal understanding of the situation, because this is what you've come up with because you've had nobody else in the room that does not look like you.
Right.
So go ahead.
What I took from it was, if you notice, right before he shot that dude in the head in the classroom, the dude was professing. You wrong. You don't know what you're talking about.
That's why he shot him.
I think that was symbolism. We went into Asia and they folded and they walked away. We went into India, they folded and they walked away. Because think about it. At one point, the British controlled Hong Kong. Right. At one point, the British controlled India. At one point, the British controlled Australia. And the only place that will fight back, we had to murder them because they knew. They understood that they knew more than us. So instead of just folding, we had to kill them.
Yep.
And then once we kill you, as I stated, the gazelle does not get to tell the story of the lion.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep. And think about it. If you use that same analogy, the lion, the gazelle is smooth, artistic, light-footed, geological threat. The lion is the brute.
Right.
And the lion just walks along. Ooh, I'm hungry.
Right.
Keep it moving.
Guess what? Because guess what? Now that I've established that dominance, you can't get over on me. You can't go back now. Because now the chain of command is, I'm bigger than you. I'm going to eat you. That's just how it goes. But yet, you're going to give up resistance by running or fighting back. And guess what? The word savage, you kind of wonder, am I a savage because I fight back? Am I a savage because I'm not going to put up with what you're trying to oppress me with? Is that why I'm a savage? It's just
because you didn't lay down.
Right.
I said this on my show Saturday. There's 3 ways to do about this. We can fight, we can flee, or we can flock. And flock is flock together, like Dawk said. We need to start going over there. Right. Because if we flock, we win.
Right.
If we fight, we're gonna lose because they don't mind destroying them and us to win.
Right.
But if we flock, it's over.
Right.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah, because like you just said, that word flock is so big. And just like I just said earlier, when you get a group of people with a militant structure like the Black Panther Party and other parties that have established themselves of giving back to their people, their communities, if I establish order, but yet your media twisted to make it seem like I'm the savage again, you're upset because once again, I have used your tactics that you taught me to teach my people, but yet not to be violent, but yet to be prosperous. But you don't want that. But then when I am prosperous, you want to come take it.
Right.
Which way do you want it?
Yeah, really. They want it both ways. That's it. That's it.
And they've done it with the Negro Improvement Association, Marcus Garvey. They did it with Noble Drew Ali. They do it even to this day with the Nation of Islam. They did it with the Student Nonviolent Coalition, the Christian Baptist Association, the Black Panther Party. They keep doing it, and we keep going. For real? Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Big L. Thank you for coming through, joining in. I'm getting ready to close. Excuse me.
With a cue to Oregon. Where's the Oregon?
It's hot up in here. But anyway, that great conversation, man, as always. Mike Neal says, where'd he go? So this is some good stuff. We appreciate that. Shout out to the Isha Muhammad podcast. HRap B
podcast. We got to start.
It's on YouTube.
It's on Facebook. That group that I added all to Black Love.
Oh, okay, cool. Definitely, we'll definitely check that out. I wanted to get better understanding on that about the guy in the morgue. Now it does make sense. Mike Neal says, "What do you think it takes for us to have a Black utopia?"
I'm gonna say right now, I got one word answer: humility.
Right. We can't be upset because one is advanced over the other.
Humility. See, I'm gonna tell you right now, man. To pull back the curtain a little bit, I'm a single individual. One of the reasons why I've been single so long is because I'm trying to get somebody to understand the concept of it does not matter who gets the credit.
Right.
The end result is what's important.
Right.
Doesn't matter who gets the credit, and unfortunately they've set up this system, right? We talked about, controlling the narrative.
Right.
The people who are pushing the narrative that's a negative agenda are the ones that are making the money. They're the ones who are getting paid by pushing the negative narrative. When's the last positive rapper you've seen make it big?
So J. Cole and
it is the narrative that is being pushed. But you see what I'm saying? You got to
but it's countries outside of those too.
Right.
So again, what would it take for us to have a Black utopia? It's got to start with humility, and communication, man. We got to be able to talk this through and say, hey, it don't matter. We need to make the best decision for us. Who are we going to have that's going to be part of this leadership group, this leadership council that are just for our best interest? It's possible, but
right. It's just like, you throw the crumbs at the feet of two hungry people, see what the outcome is.
Mm-hmm.
It's not saying, well, hey, I got more crumbs than you got. Well, why you got more than what I got?
Mm-hmm.
You need to have that sense of like, man, this is in your wheelhouse. This is on you. I'm gonna support that.
That's right.
That's why, like, when you guys have your shows, I try my best to support that as much as I can. I try to come through and like it, listen to the conversation, even take it out into the real world and harvest it, eat that, and grow that.
That's
because it's really important that you have that sustainability and that backup where it's like, I don't care. I used to get discouraged when I saw 3 people watching.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's all you need. Because if I just have enough to convince 2 or 3 people, and they take that word and spread it, that's word of mouth right there. Hey, man, you gotta check this show out, man. That's
how it starts. Yeah,
man. Dawk got this show, man. HRap got this show. Ben got this show. It's prosperous. So for me, I'm more proud, and it's filling for me to watch you guys when you go forward and do your thing, because hey, I love it. I'm there to support it all the way. That's my thing.
Yeah.
I get my gratitude from helping. I don't have to be in the center all the time. I don't have to be out front. I think, I had to learn that, yes, people, when I get compliments, I had to learn to accept those, because I don't want the compliments. I want to grow your situation. It's just like with Ben. Whatever Ben got going on, I'm gonna support it. I don't care if Ben is doing BS3 on the corner. I'm gonna pull up to the sidewalk and I'm gonna listen. So it's just one of those things where like you said, you just gotta have that. You gotta be humble. You gotta have that humility. You gotta say, you can't get jealous because maybe it went this way for them. It may not go this way for you. What worked for them may not work for you, but you may get there. You may end up at the same intersection. So you just gotta support one another. You just gotta have that humility.
I think for me, I would say learning who we are and learning that we are truly in this together. Yeah, there is not it's not a us versus them when it comes to us.
Right.
Like so
there you go. That's
good. One thing that I've been learning about is like our history before slavery, because most of the time it's just like it was slavery and that was it. What happened before that? There has to be something before that. Right. It can't just be slavery and that's all we know. So I think it's learning who we are, and knowing that we are royalty. Right. Like and where we come from is royalty. It's not
kind of like what Ben just said right there. It's like Eli Whitley didn't get upset because George Washington Carver made advancements with the peanut. It's like, it's one of those things where you've got something that's going to advance technology. I've got something that's going to advance the people. So we've got all these creators and these mind, what the word was, these harvesters of minds that can go out and plant things. It's like, I'm not upset at you because you discovered this. So how can I help you to better this? How can I help you get this out there, get your product out there? Because I want you to grow this thing.
Yeah. Y'all said it. I agree with everybody. With Dawk, the unity thing, you with the humility thing, Ben with the historic thing, and then stop this inner fighting. What baffles me, the greatest obstacle in the world to me, and the black diaspora, the African diaspora, is this. If we ever stop doing this, I really believe that utopia just increases, or it just materializes, is what I should say. How in the hell do we watch TV and go, like we sit around with each other like this, we sit in that doghouse, we sipping or whatever, and we go, man, the media always lying. And then somebody else walks into the circle and go, man, but we got to stop this black on black crime. Where you get that from? The TV. Are they lying or are they not? We don't quote liars. Right. And once we realize that like, again, I was having this conversation and I was like, we're talking about policing, right? And then I know police officers and I fell for it. And this is why I told y'all for the show, I had a revelation. If the system was really trying to change, watch this. I want all three of you to think police officer and tell me exactly the man you saw when you came up. About 30-year-old white man.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
So if you were trying to change policing,
right,
you would at least involve brown people.
Change the face of policing.
You would change the face, because then we would be disarmed. And if you disarmed, you create peace. You create peace. Everybody's elevated. Everybody elevated. No more foolishness, no more madness. But you don't want that. Right. Watch the show tomorrow, man. Tune in tomorrow, and I'm gonna get going in, because it was truly a revelation. I was disappointed in myself, because I was like, I did.
Yeah, I failed for it.
Yeah, I failed myself. I'm not even listening to HRap, and I'm HRap.
Man, and that's an amazing point, because we will go through life and something will tell us You were wrong on that. You were thinking the wrong way. You were led the wrong way. What do we do after that? Do we continue to go that wrong way, or do we course correct?
Right. If I can get you to ingest that lie and then regurgitate, if I can get you to digest that, regurgitate it, the next person's going to take it and run with it.
Yeah.
I can lie to you. I can lie to you and you can decipher it. But if you lie to you, you dead.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's like the telephone game. It starts out one way. By the time it gets to the end,
exactly.
You added 5-10 different layers to it.
It's something totally different.
That's not how it started.
And that's where that ego, that's what Dawk come in with their ego, because I had to make the story better.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because HRap hit the Powerball. And then Wilks go, HRap hit the Powerball. And it was like he was in the middle of a gunfight when he was writing it down. And then Ben go, yeah, he didn't even get shot. He shot 4 guys. And it's like, that's the Powerball. Man, he had a tank.
Yeah.
Everybody had that friend in high school that was selling wolf tickets. Right. He always had it better. He always had it bigger. He always had this. Yeah. And how did he number one, did he really have it? Number two, how did he get that stuff?
Yeah, right.
Michael Neal's got a comment here. We can discuss this. He said, maybe if y'all put on faces and show boobs and booty, maybe black with
black people is what he's probably trying to say.
Black people, yeah. That's sad because your brothers are dropping some jewels.
Yeah. And I can answer that question right now. You don't want to see none of our booties. I promise you. That's why. You do not. Yeah, you don't want to see this.
That statement right there. That we would have 1.5 billion. We would have. It would be subscribers to your network and mine. Then if we did that.
Yeah.
You're right.
Interested in tuning in. It's sad because
yeah.
But what I will say this: the first episode of the review is almost at 300 views. The most we've had, I think, was probably 70. So it is reaching people, because we have people that I didn't even know that neither one of us know commenting, and I'm like, wow, this is the way you're breaking this down. Not only are we breaking it down, but that's going to cause people to watch it. And then when they watch it, like one guy said, when I was watching it, I had to stop and ponder. I had to go and research. That's it right there. Researching what you're watching, not just watching it. And
just don't stop there. It's like take it a step further. That's why, like when I watch these, and kind of I think maybe Dawk or HRap and even Ben yourself, I think you said you pause it and you take notes and maybe you do the research then. It's like some of that stuff. Like last week when they were talking about the Alamo, like I remember taking Texas history and how they spun that as if, it was the greatest war. We moved in on Santa Ana and we crushed it. It's just, but you didn't tell the rest of that story. And like I meant, and I don't mean to harp on last week, but with the Louisiana Purchase, like that still blows my mind that you didn't go into the Louisiana Purchase, like why they were forced to sell that French territory. You didn't,
because black people kicked their draws in their ass.
Right.
And it was like, go.
Because those Haitian brothers kicked their draws in their ass.
You are not going to keep putting your knee on my neck, and I'm not going to rise up. Please understand, I'm going to rise up because you're not going to keep disrespecting me. You're not going to keep disrespecting me.
Obviously, you ain't see what Kamala Harris said. Ain't no racism.
Trust me. I meant to open it up with that, especially that one guy talking about there's no look.
Tim Scott.
Scott.
And then he's not talking about being discriminated against.
Last time I checked, I think that's what the United States was built on. They want to give you that lie that it was built on Christianity and religion. No, it wasn't.
No.
It was built on tyranny, genocide, and racism. And massacre.
The furthest from that.
Right.
It was built on evangelicalism.
I'm not OJ. Yeah, please. Get out of here. I'm not black.
Talk about stimulus money in Dr. Miami. You will absolutely.
Right. The stimmy.
Yeah. The stimmy. So let's bring it back to Exterminate All the Brutes. part 3, which a common theme in this is the natives, because they were here. And you come and say, "Oh, I found this." Right. They're looking at you like, "I'm here. What are you talking about? You found this? We've been here. Like this is ours. Well, we're going to defend it." But there was a point that was brought up about the Battle of the Washita River. That was November 27th, 1868. And they talked about Lieutenant Colonel George Armstrong Custer's 7th U.S. Cavalry attacked Black Kettle's Southern Cheyenne camp at the Washita River. And it just goes to every single part we've watched.
Right.
Natives have been drove out of their native land, where they were. And it's no longer surprising, but it's just like every time they probably got comfortable, it was like, no, this isn't yours anymore. Yeah. And also I wanted to talk about this. What was the communication like? Because I'm sure they didn't speak the language. So how were they even communicating to try to either one of them get their point across? Well, I know how the brutes were communicating, which is why I'm gonna shoot you and take it.
Yeah, that's why I like some of it is, like you said, it's kind of almost like it's a blank slate. You know, I said this maybe a month ago, you know, we got all these movies about slavery, but yet we can understand these African natives that you bring over here. I think they're not speaking English. So you just pretty much took stuff. Like, like you said, how are you translating to indigenous people? How are you speaking? What are you talking about?
Swahili. It's a language that was created by the Arabs that were trading and stealing us initially. They still enslave us to this day. And you speak Swahili, and it is a mishmash. It is the English of the African continent. You know, the English language is a gumbo of several thousand languages, right? Or several dozen languages. So Swahili is the same. And when they use Swahili, that's how they're able to communicate with certain chiefs. And then you have to realize, like, okay, this is how to let you know. A lot of people don't read that. I'm Christian, but you ain't open the Bible. You ain't even been hit in the head with the Bible, right? Because what you do is this shows you the evil of the European man. They find out the traditions. Now, when you read the Bible, you see how people go from slave to king. Joseph was kidnapped by his brothers, thrown in the pit. He went from prison to confidant to advisor. Well, he's soothsayer, advisor, king.
Yes, sir.
Right.
So the culture is anybody can go from the bottom to the top. So they grab you and say, hey, we're going to take you over here and we're going to make you a second-class citizen over here.
Yeah.
And the mentality, from what I've read, is the kings were going, okay, I defeated Dawk. Me and Dawk defeated Wilks, and me, Wilks, and Dawk defeated Ben. And then we will get together and give away Ben, but the mentality is we'll have a foot in over there because he'll be a slave and move up. Right. And people look at it from a 20th century perspective. Oh man, you're a slave, and not knowing that slavery only became permanent because of this a black man in America named Anthony Johnson. Initially, slavery was 7 years. White man walked past Mr. Johnson's plantation and say, "Hey, HRap, what you still doing here? You've been here 14 years." He's like, "Hey man, I'm a slave." Man, you're only supposed to be a slave for 7 years. Come on down to my farm, I'm gonna pay you. Yeah. He jumped the gate, go down there. Anthony Johnson take that man to court. Slavery becomes permanent. So when our ancestors were selling people, they were not, when you are from Nigeria, you look like a person from Sierra Leone, but you're not a person from Sierra Leone. Just like when you are from England, you look like an Irishman. You're not an Irishman, you're English. Yeah. So that's why they were being sold. They were not being sold as commodities. They were being sold as extensions of a nation. You're not really us, so we can afford to give away you. If you give away enough people, you open enough people to your traditions and your customs, those wicked, evil brutes that we've discovered, they take advantage of those. They come over there with weaponry, they destroy you, and then they take over your land.
Wow.
Right. Yeah. And we pose with you and make you hold guns and dress like us.
Right. And change. That was one of the definitions of genocide. Change. I think it was change your culture, change your dress, change everything about you.
It's colonization. You can't remember. Again, Dr. Miles Monroe and colonization. You got to listen to it. He's talking about it in terms of spirituality, right? Spiritual warfare, but he uses actual colonization and how that's done to be able to kind of get you to wake up in terms of spiritual warfare. But it's
one more thing that what Dawk just said is it's a law on the books in the United States of America today. You ever wonder why, man, why we can't get along? Why we just keep selling each other out? All I want you to do is look up this law 1771 called marital manumission. And it was taught to our ancestors, if you make a white man's life comfortable, like an invention or something, you could potentially get your freedom. If you snitch on a slave revolt, you get your freedom. Or if you save a white man's life, you can get your freedom. So again, stop looking at it from a 20th or 21st century perspective. Like, man, we supposed to be together. Man, if somebody, think about this. At one point, we used to have to talk to our sons and our daughters and say, these white men might come through and rape you, and I can't do nothing about it. Right. Who ain't snitching to get their family out of that?
Right.
And then you create an enemy. But when you do that, you create an enemy. Yeah. So now it's this distrust, and that distrust is passed down till 2021.
Wow.
So
it's an endless cycle.
Yeah. And again, 10 years. Each traumatic. Just imagine. Listen to that. Every traumatic situation in your life takes 10 years to filter out. So how many of our people? So HRap tries to run away, and when they catch him, and they tie horses to him and tear him in half in front of a whole 200 people. That's 10 years of trauma. That happened several times. Okay, I'm gonna end this with a treat. Hush puppies.
Right.
Hush puppies. Our ancestors. Let's show you how innovative we are. Show you how wonderful we are. Hush puppying is a enslaved person's tool. You know, you run away, you get caught, you get beat to sleep, and then you don't die. You know, a lot of us say, okay, I'm healed. Whew, let me stretch because I'm running the night too. But what they start doing is getting a bag of hush puppies, running and throwing hush puppies to their right. Throwing hush puppies to their right and running left. The dogs that catch our ancestors, enslaved Africans, because we are not slaves. Slave is a Slavic term. Look it up. You throw it to the left, you run to the right. The dogs run over there, we get in the way.
Right.
Well, so I didn't want it to just be a straight wet blanket. I threw a little air conditioner on my
No, you good.
Throw some air conditioning over here, because I'm on my second clothes now.
Oh, man, you'll pass the love offering.
Yeah, for real. Pass that bucket, Sister Jenkins.
Yeah.
Another quote: "We do not want to remember." That part was wow. We don't want to remember, and always the next step is, what do we do with what we're remembering?
Right.
I thought that was powerful.
Yeah, because it's one of those things where, honestly, I guess it's on both sides, but definitely for those that want to exterminate the brutes, it's one of those things where it's like how quickly we forget, you know, but you make us remember the Holocaust. You make us remember, of course, Pearl Harbor and things like that. But yet you don't want to make us remember the fact that you came over and stole lands. You don't want to make us remember the fact that you rewrote history. Like, that's not how that went. You know, but then when we do remember, it's like, just forget about it. You know, no, we didn't really mean that. So, you know, that's
get over it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That goes back to the trauma, that 10 years.
Right.
I mean, something happens to you. That trauma gets passed down.
Mm-hmm.
That's real.
Yeah, and not one to remember, that's a basic, mental, kind of a symptom, so to speak, right? When people are, going through, these things and they go through therapy and whatnot, they try to block out those traumas, right? So I think, that we don't want to remember is a big statement, and it's 100% the case. It's easier to walk around blind sometimes than it is to walk around woke, and that's the beauty of what we're trying to do. We're not trying to open your eyes. We're trying to open your mind's eye, to be able to see clearly in that way and keep it open. We're trying to get your mind's eye not to blink.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's easy. Like he said, it's easier to walk around blind and not having to deal or face those things that got us to this point. It's like we don't have to address that if I just walk around aimlessly, not trying to put any effort of remembering that. So let's distort it, rewrite it, and start a new chapter as if this didn't happen.
Right.
And look at the word remember. When you destroy something, you dismember.
Right.
When you put it together, you remember. Remember, at the end of this month is the 100-year anniversary of a government-sanctioned attack on our community. The National Guard came in and got deputized and shot our brothers and sisters in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And what they don't tell us is this. At the time, Oklahoma was known as the blackest state in America. You know how at one point we called DC Chocolate City, and now we call Atlanta Chocolate City. That was Chocolate State because people who were not enslaved, when they left with the people that they called indigenous and went to the Trail of Tears led to Oklahoma, and we had land, we had businesses, and this is at 1820, not 1920.
Right.
Wow.
This is the blackest state in America, and those folks. Do y'all know one of the reasons that that Tulsa, Oklahoma thing went down? They created that black man felt on the white lady thing because a white man went past a black family's house and they had a piano and he did.
Jealousy, envy.
Right. No, go ahead, man.
No, I was just saying jealousy and envy. That's
right. It's like I was saying earlier. It's like you tell me that this isn't mine. You tell me I'm lazy, but then when I go out and work for it and establish it and build it, now you're upset. Okay, 1 minute you said I was lazy, but now I'm working and I'm not bothering you because guess what? If I do bother you, there's no laws protecting me for you to ride up and come hang me and drag me in the middle of the street for a spectacle, and kill my family and rape my family. So it's like, let me mind my business. Let me grow myself and prosper. But yet, because you're not doing it, because I'm doing it, you want to come take it.
Yeah, man.
And we're the savages, and we're the brutes, right? No.
And you want to use your nice little cute term gentrification, and wipe it all away. It's like, come on, man.
I'm not to mention you go get scared and run to the suburbs before and leave all the taxes. Man, like the last 2 weeks I've been kicking universities and they're behind. If you ever think about this, I don't know how it is in Texas, but it's definitely like this in Chicago and LA. You ever notice that the universities all own land right outside the hood?
Oh, always. And they never really do anything with it.
You know why? That is how you destroy the community. You buy several acres of land right outside the hood. Universities are non-for-profit entities. Mm-hmm. So guess what non-for-profit people don't do?
Pay taxes. Yeah.
If they ain't paying taxes and they got an acre of land right outside the hood, guess what? The schools are defunded. When you defund, that's why I remember a couple of weeks ago I said I've changed my mind on blaming criminals for breaking the law.
Right.
Because if you remove my resources, you leave me no choice but to commit crime.
Right. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, man.
So this. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, just like what HRap was saying, like you leave me no choice. Because if you even on, like I've seen cases on 60 Minutes where, somebody's incarcerated, black gentleman, let's just say that's what it is. Let's get it over with. A black gentleman or a black woman's incarcerated. They'll tell you, at that moment in time where I was in my life, I had no other resources. That is the one thing that they always come back to.
Right.
They don't have resources.
That's right.
And when they get into prison, they find, which is, I don't know, it's not funny, but it's ironic that they find those resources, they get out, they establish a law firm, a small law firm, whatever it is. Yeah. Because now they've got those resources. They had to go the roundabout way to do it. But then you want to sit up here and then ridicule that person. It's just like, come on, man. That's all this person was trying to do from the jump was to establish themselves.
Right.
Well, how about this, Wilks? One of the biggest drug dealers in the late 70s, early 80s, this dude named Guy Fisher. He got out of the penitentiary in November. He went in, Guy Fisher, owner of the Apollo Theater, who was driving around with $5 million of drug money in his Cadillac. He got out of the penitentiary, Dr. Guy Fisher. Imagine what happens if he was in a school when he wasn't going to be a drug dealer.
Right. Exactly. Because you take those resources, you pretty much pull the rug from under my feet.
Yeah.
And Martin Luther King said it best. You dare want me to pull myself up by the bootstrap, but you don't even give me the boots to do that.
Right.
Wow.
Or I could send Ben a clip, and he every Dr. King, and everybody who watch their eyes will be this big at the end of it. Because he wasn't talking. He wasn't talking like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He was talking about Martin King. I'm telling you, he was talking like Martin King. Hey.
Man, what you looking up at, man? You got to go there or something, man?
He was hoping that air comes He was hoping that air comes down.
The ancestors that made it to your eyes first. I mean,
in the upper room.
No, that's the fan. Watch turn the fan on. So the ending of this episode talks about Southwest Africa. So how Germany got involved, violating treaties. 80,000 were dead and entering into concentration camps. So kind of what we talked about this couple episodes past is Germany got involved, but before it was the European, or it was a different people. But when they got involved, they just basically did the same thing all over again.
Right. Because like he said, Hitler had already known it. He didn't need to be taught it because it had already happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had on their German thought in the world. Any individual or group, people who do not produce anything of value cannot make any claim to right or exist.
Right.
So, and even when you were producing something of value, they took it from you.
Right.
So either way, it's a lose-lose, right? You can't make a claim or a right to exist, a claim the right to exist because you're not producing nothing of value. Wait a minute, I gave you that rubber.
Right.
No, that's our rubber.
Right. What are you giving? I taught you how to get the rubber. What are you giving me?
Yeah. Debo wasn't the first Debo. America been Debo.
Right. How about that?
What you got on my 40 ounce?
What you got on my 40 acres? How about this? Just to show you how brutal America is. Hitler comes over here. Look at the Jim Crow and redlining laws that are enforced against us. They say, "Nah, we gonna tone these down. It's too much."
Yeah. Right.
Real story.
Right. Yeah, it is. That's what I'm saying. It's like he didn't just invent this himself. He's reading straight from the manual.
Right.
It's like
they go, you got a copy. We read from the blueprint.
Right. Well, I mean, we didn't even touch on the fact that the lady with the International Planned Parenthood was telling you that people with certain diseases and ailments shouldn't be reproducing and having kids. It's like, but y'all out here,
Margaret Sagerman.
Yes, and you're out here literally a plethora of, blue eyes that look like you, because that's what you really wanted in the first place.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that's Hillary Clinton's idol.
True.
Yeah. I wanted to see how hot sauce in her bottle on breakfast. I mean, her purse on Breakfast Club.
Probably. Probably.
Man, so, again, another great episode, episode 3. Episode 4, we'll be talking about that next week, is the bright colors of fascism. I purposely didn't want to watch ahead because I wanted to get each episode in. Yeah. And I watched a little bit ahead the first 2, but then I was like, I'm gonna watch 4 next week. But
yeah, I have not watched 4 yet. I'm still up. I'll probably watch it tonight just to start it. But
you gotta have something to do when you eat them mashed taters.
I know, man. Loaded mashed taters.
You about to say something, HRap? I seen it on your face.
Oh no, I'm just laughing at who else? Who else is Dawk? And watching you struggle.
It's hot. All right,
shut it down, man.
Yeah, shut it down, man. You gonna pass out over there, man. That heat about to stroke you out, man.
But yeah, great episode. This is my 3rd close, so we can go out here. Will you come? But
no church is open.
Yeah.
Set them 2 chairs out.
Right, exactly. What if more than 2 people want to get saved?
Yeah, that's good.
You sit on the floor.
Those are the churches open.
Yeah, what? Yeah, that is crazy.
Will you come?
Uncomfortable chairs.
Speaks to our misaligned view of expectation. We have no expectation. See, I'm a single dude who moved into a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath house. Why? Shit, I'm expecting something. You hear me? Expectation.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm expecting something too. The Powerball tomorrow.
Hey, when you do, we done all made it, baby.
No mortgage for nobody.
It all came up.
Yeah, I can sell this Audi.
I hear you.
I can start drinking Fanta. Fanta orange and grape. Specifically. Not all the other ones.
Well, you can keep drinking grape. Wasn't no grape back then.
Yeah.
Orange.
Yeah, the strawberry, we good.
Yeah. All those strawberry back then.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Well, Wilks, any last words?
No, not really. I mean, this episode, it really just paints a picture of just trying to solidify their dominance as the United States. I mean, you went around pretty much setting up, entities of, I'm going to destroy you. Then guess what? Then I'm going to erect an establishment that says, you have been assimilated. You're a part of us now. So then we move on to the next. So that's really pretty much it. I'm excited for the 4th episode. So like I said, I may crank that up tonight. So.
Yeah. Dawk?
Yeah.
Talk about the show tomorrow too.
Yeah, I was gonna say finally, I don't promote it enough on this show because I'll be wrapped up into the forecast. But the Queen 3 and King podcast tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. You get to see that little bit of ignorant that I act on this show, that little bit of fool that I act on this show. I act a big fool on Queen 3 and King podcast because my sisters love it. And like I said, you don't want to miss it. We get, we have lighter topics, but we use those light topics to segue into meaty topics like this, so check it out. On BS3 Radio, Queen 3 and King podcast on all media platforms, social media platforms. So check us out. And I'll leave my section with a quote, and it says, "The past has a future we never expect." The past has a future we never expect. And that, when I heard that in this, I had to run to some paper and rewind it 3 times and make sure that's so strong. Yeah. Raoul Peck, he killing it.
Yeah.
If you can watch this and not walk around with a different mentality, you didn't want one.
Yeah. I don't know how you're right. How you can't. I'm posting the link right now, Queen 3 and King. the link to the YouTube channel, so you can click on that.
It's big stuff. It's big stuff.
HRap.
Well, y'all know how I always do it. Tomorrow, 5 p.m., Saturday, 5 p.m., the End of the Bench podcast on Built for This Network and on the End of the Bench on YouTube, Build and Destroy, where I try to build up our community system and destroy the systematic racism, oppression, and madness that comes along with being a black person in America. 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, and y'all already know. I'm gonna end it like I end. I'm gonna say the same what I say at the end of my show. Dream your dreams. A salute to Reggie O'Shea and Craig Smith. And then I say, dream those dreams, a man up, a woman up, and live those dreams. Because life without dreams flows in black and white. Life with dreams flows in technicolor surround sound. And y'all already know if I owe you something, I don't have it. And if you need it, get it from God.
Right on, right on.
Peace.
See y'all.
Right now.